Okay, for homework 1219, I'd like you to practice solving the system of three separate variables for three separate equations in matrix form. So I'd like you to write this without the variables with just those coefficients 1, 2, 4, 11, 2, 1, 2, 10, 1, 4, 2, 13. I'm going to have you focus on zeroing out these two numbers in that first column first, focusing on this one right here. So I'm going to look at the number above it. If I multiply that number above it by -2 and then add that to 2, it will make that into a 0. This operation is saying take all the numbers of row 1, times them by -2, and then add that to the numbers of row 2. And then when you get that answer, put all those numbers back into row 2. So here I go. -2 times that 1 is -2. I'm going to write all the numbers. Oh, here we go. So -2 times 1. What I'm doing first is writing the numbers in the rows that are not changing. All I'm doing is multiplying this middle row and changing it. So -2 times this 1 is -2 plus 2 gives me 0. I put that 0 right there. -2 times this 2 is -4 plus this 1 -3. This -2 times this 4 is -8 plus 2 -6. -2 times 11 -22 plus 10 -12 out of that. Next, zero out this number by timesing the top row by -1, adding that to this row 3's number 1 to make that 0, and putting it back in row 3. So I'm timesing the row 1 by -1 and adding that to the row 3 number. I'm writing the rows that I'm not changing first. Alright, so here I go. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 1 is 0. -1 times 2 is -2 plus 4 is 2. -1 times 4 is -4 plus +2 is -2. -22 plus 13, I'm sorry, -11 plus 13, +2. Now I'm going to focus on my diagonals before I zero out this 2. Try to make this into a 1. If I divide that by -3, makes that into +1. Puppy, puppy. So I'm going to multiply that whole middle row by -1/3. That's the same as dividing by -3. That divided by -3, divided by -3, divided by -3. Or -1/3 times -3 is going to make that 1. The first row, third row not changing. 0 divided by -3 or times -1/3 stays 0. But this divided by -3, 1. This divided by -3, 2. This divided by -3, 4. Dividing by -3 is the same as timesing by -1/3. Now I'm going to zero out this number right there, because I got my diagonals looking good. I'm going to times the middle row times -2 and add it to this bottom row and put those answers back in row 3. The reason I times this second row by -2 and not the first row is if I take the second row and times this by 0, -2 times 0, and add it, it doesn't change the 0. If I would have tried to zero this out by using this top row, by maybe multiplying by -1, it would have caused this 0 to be a number. -1 times -1 is -1, plus that would have turned to -1. The beauty of this row is that 0 here is not going to change, only these numbers. -2 times 1, -2 plus 2, 0. -2 times 2, -4 plus -6. So here I go. The first two rows remain unchanged, so I'm going to write those rows out. I'm going to shrink this down. Horse, horse. So I'm going to take negative 2 times 0 gives me 0, plus 0 gives me 0. The first row doesn't change. The second row does not change. But here I go, third row. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2, plus 2 gives me 0. Negative 2, oh, you know what? I think I made a mistake right here. I need to multiply row 2 by negative 2. So fix that. Negative 1 plus row 2. Oh, that's not going to work. So I'm going to do it. Negative 1 row 1 plus row 3 back into row 3. And again, that's not correct either. So let's fix that. There's the right step right there. Sorry about that confusion. So I'm going to take negative 2 times row 2, add it to row 3, and put those numbers back in row 3. All that work was a mistake I made. It shows you how fast it snowballs when you make a mistake. So here I go. The top two rows are going to remain unchanged. That's going to be 1, 2, 4, 11. Next row is going to be 0, 1, 2, 4. Bottom row becomes 0, 0. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2, plus 2, 0. Negative 2 times 2, negative 4, minus 2, negative 6. Negative 2 times 4, negative 8. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Now I could see, again, pretty close to a 1. If I divide this by negative 6, it will turn it into a 1. So dividing by negative 6, I show that by timesing by negative 1/6. That's how I show dividing by negative 6. I know that's tricky. So I take that bottom row times everything by negative 1/6, which is the same as dividing by negative 6. First row, second row remain untouched. Bottom row 0, 0, positive 1, positive 1. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. Negative 6 times negative 1/6 is positive 1. Now I'm working my way up, zeroing out this number right here by looking at this second row. I'm going to times this second row by negative 2 and add that to the first row. So negative 2 times row 2 plus the numbers of row 1 back into row number 1. So here I go, working my way up. Don't want to use this row because that wouldn't change nothing. So negative 2 times 0 is 0. The other numbers don't change in the second, third row. 0 plus 1 stays 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus 4 is 0. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, plus 11 is 3. Now all I need to do is 0 this number right here, and I'm good by using this bottom row. Don't want to use top row, bottom row, because 0 won't change, but these will. So I'm going to times negative 2 times row 3, add it to row 2, put it back in row 2. Norwal, Norwal. All right, last part. 1, 0, 0, 3, x equals 3. 0, 0, 1, 1, z equals 1, but my middle row, negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 stays 1. That's what I want. Now the changing. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 2, plus 2, 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus that 4 gives me positive 2. Those are my answers. X equals 3, y equals 2, and z equals 1. I'm going to do a quick check, which I would like you to write down for full credit too. Do the check. Prove to me that those answers work. So I'm going to plug them in. I'm going to plug in 1 for x, 3 for x, 2 for y, 1 for z. First equation I'll do in black, 3 where x is, plus 2 times 2, plus 4 times 1, plugging into that top equation, should give me 11. 3 plus 6, plus 4 equals 11, that is true. 7 plus 4 equals 11, 11 equals 11, true. Plug those into the second equation. 2 times 3 plus 2 plus 2 times 1. Add them up, should give me 10. This gives me 6 plus 2 plus 2. And yes, that indeed equals 10. The last one I'm going to do in green, I believe, plugging into this bottom row. So 3 plus 4 times 2, or 2 times 4. And looks like I got a mistake here. What am I plugging this into? Alright, so I'm not sure what I did on this last check. I should have plugged in 3 here, and 2 here, and 1 here to get 13. That's going to be 3 plus 12. 3 plus 8 is 11. Plus 2 gives me 13. So this check in green, for some reason, I plugged them back into that top. I'm not sure what I was doing. For this green check to finish, plug those 3 numbers into this bottom equation. Rhinoceros. Rhinoceros. Good luck.